Hey, my name is Kelvin, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about what I wish I knew about trying to get a job as a junior game designer and sort of the things that have sort of worked for me and for others. Just sort of sharing some thoughts on what I've learned along the way in my 8 years, as well as an instructor that has worked with a lot of students looking to find their first job. I just wanted to, share some of those thoughts with you today. One of the things that I wish school had better prepared me for was sort of just the idea of understanding how competitive that our gaming industry is. We have over 250 game design programs across the US and at least 10 in Canada. And all of those schools are putting out graduates in game design with degrees, masters, diplomas, as well as, people that just make games for fun and have been building mods and all of that. Like, there's a lot of people who are very qualified to get a junior game design position in a lot of different companies. And something to really mention is that the bar of what qualifies like a portfolio that is considered competitive by a company is always constantly being raised, right? You have technology that is improving at record rates. My portfolio project using the free Infinity Blade assets on Epic Games before the marketplace really had a lot of assets is now being like student projects now look really cool, and they're able to use all the new Unreal technology to build games, and like the bar for what is a competitive portfolio is always raising. So, we're asking juniors now to stay on top of that, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. What I can do to encourage junior designers who are sort of navigating the space and sort of unsure on how to proceed is that, always stay competitive in that sense. If you're in a graduate school class, you should aim to be like the top 5% of students. You should always be looking to sort of stand out in a class of sort of people who are also studying game design. Your portfolio should be the one that is that is shown off as like the hallmark, this thing that schools are proud of, and the ones that instructors will share with their friends is like, hey, check out this cool project that one of my students did. Like, I think that that's the level of competitiveness that you need to take and to have during school. And then as you ease into the industry and you start looking for your first job, now that classroom experience has now become that microcosm. And now as you expand that, you have the whole like industry of a lot of other junior designers from a lot of other schools. Now your work needs to be the top 5% of that pool of people, which is very difficult and very challenging. I don't deny that. But that is sort of the approach that I would sort of be taking to have a better chance at understanding how close I am to getting closer to that position. One of the most helpful things that my portfolio teacher once taught me, and he's not in the industry anymore, so you can take it or leave it, but it's the idea of using sort of quantifiable metrics in order to help track your progression after you've graduated. So in school, we have grades and we have, how well you are to the class, to other classmates. And it's very easy to sort of see where you stand among the pack and how well you're tracking to, your goal, which is to graduate. But when you're out on the job search, you don't really have that same sense of how close am I. Like you can quantify it through interviews. But something he suggested was to sort of keep track on like, oh, did you make new LinkedIn connections? Did you book a coffee and chat with another industry person? Did you reach out to a teacher to get feedback on one of the latest projects you've worked on? How many hours did you put on your solo projects this week? And how many applications did you send out? And having a way to track all those numbers keeps you accountable week to week in order to deliver results. I would say that in general, it seems that the trend for looking for gigs, it seems that in one of the latest polls that I saw, 60% of game design people who manage to find positions kind of have to do it through a connection. So I do think like approaching it from like, hey, how many connections can I build this week? genuine ones, whether that's through like game design discords, YouTube communities like this one, etc., to see if you can find ways to make progress towards that goal while also not being discouraged by the fact that, yeah, sometimes you will just send out 100 resumes in a week and that's all you can really do. And, sometimes that doesn't really work. In general, though, I do think that having that competitive edge and being able to foster it while you're still in school and be able to sort of put that to the test once you're out in the industry, I think that's sort of the way to sort of approach this because, yeah, finding a job right now in the games industry is very difficult, even for senior folks. I can only imagine how difficult and discouraging it could be as a junior right now. So keep at it. It's possible. You can do it. Be tenacious. But also, if you are throwing like 300 resumes at a wall and you're not getting any bites, it might be time to also look at your own work and to see if you can raise it to the bar that I was talking about earlier. Because again, tech moves really fast, our industry moves really fast, games education is moving very fast, and it's totally okay if your portfolio and your work after sort of 1 year isn't landing and it's no longer getting the attention that it got 2 years ago. There's no shame in just sort of sitting down, catching back up, and sort of rebuilding that portfolio a little bit, add a new project or two to sort of make yourself competitive again in order to once again, find that job. This video is going to be sort of part of a multi-video series where I just sort of dive into a little bit about my thoughts on the games industry and, yeah, getting into the industry in the first place. This first video is about understanding a little bit about how I see the competitiveness of the industry and sort of a quick bite on what I wish I knew going in. I hope it helps a little bit. Good luck.